Hello dear students. Today in this video lesson we are going to revise the entire topic and you can say the entire syllabus of class 10 biology. So as you know already that the lessons for your final exam, there are total three lessons, which are lesson number 1, that is life process. First we will see what are the different important topics that you have to cover in this lesson. Okay. So under life process, first of all here you need to study the different processes of life that makes an organism alive. For example, the life processes here, first of all, which starts with nutrition. Okay, nutrition. Then here respiration. Okay, nutrition, respiration. Then we have circulation, nutrition, respiration, circulation. Then we have excretion, etc. So these are the different topic which we are going to discuss. All right. So first of all, under nutrition, here you need to understand plant nutrition as well as the animal nutrition or human nutrition. So under plant nutrition, definitely you need to study here about the process of photosynthesis. Under plant nutrition, that is photosynthesis, which is the autotrophic mode of nutrition. Here you say autotrophic mode of nutrition, and here the another one is the heterotrophic nutrition. Okay, so part by part, each of these topic you need to focus. First of all, under nutrition, photosynthesis, its mechanism and the different experiments that shows the importance of different components, such as the importance of chlorophyll, or to show experimentally how chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis, or the carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis, or water is necessary for photosynthesis. So in this way, different experimental demonstration that is in your textbook, NCERT textbook, also need to be learned. Okay. And in a very precise way, the process of photosynthesis is being discussed under 3 points. The mechanism, starting with the splitting of the white light to release oxygen gas, and synthesization of the energy-rich compounds that leads to, then next will be the biochemical process or the biosynthetic process. Okay, and finally the production of the glucose. Okay, so in this way, the mechanism should be learned in a point-wise manner, or you may study as light reaction and dark reaction. So from photosynthesis part, you need to understand, you need to learn the chemical reaction of photosynthesis, as well as the mechanism of photosynthesis, and also different experimental demonstrations that are given in your NCERT textbook, which are related to photosynthesis. Yes, one more experiment is there, that is an experiment on variegated leaf. Okay, an experiment on variegated leaf to show that chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. So that experiment is also important. You may get different types of questions, maybe in different sections, maybe in objective type, in reason assertion, or maybe in descriptive type, 2 marks, 3 marks. So in any form you may get the questions. Then next, under heterotrophic nutrition, first of all, different types of heterotrophic nutrition, which includes the saprotrophic mode of nutrition, parasitic mode of nutrition, and holozoic mode of nutrition. Under heterotrophic nutrition, other than green plants, all organism comes under heterotrophic nutrition, right? So under heterotrophic nutrition, further as the saprotrophic nutrition, those are the organism like the group of fungi that follow heterotrophic or saprotrophic mode of nutrition, feeds on dead and decaying matter. And secondly, the parasitic nutrition undergone by the organism who neither can photosynthesize nor can derive energy and nor can derive energy by undergoing nutrition, or you can say they do not have a proper system that can give or that can provide them energy. So those are the parasitic organism, which is common, which are present even in plants as well as in animals. There are parasitic plants like Cuscuta or Emerbel, or parasitic animals like those intestinal worms. So actually this parasitic, whether it's a plant or an animal, actually they don't have a specialized mechanism. For example, in plants, they don't have chlorophyll, so as a result they cannot photosynthesize, and due to which they need to depend on other plants for their nutrition. Similarly, the animals, those who are parasites, they don't have a digestive system which can break down the food and ultimately derive energy from it. So that's why they are parasites. Okay, then next, number 3 is the holozoic mode of nutrition. Under holozoic mode of nutrition, you need to study on holozoic nutrition in unicellular organism, holozoic nutrition in humans. So first of all, holozoic nutrition means the nutrition, a type of nutrition where food is taken inside the body, it is digested, and then it is absorbed and assimilated. Okay, so the same process where food is taken in is done in two different ways. I mean, in unicellular organism it is done in different way, and in multicellular organism they have more specialized organ and organ system for the process. So in this way you need to learn these differences, how the difference in their mechanism of action, or you can say the process of nutrition, how it is different. As in unicellular organism like amoeba, they have only one cell. So how do they ingest? So common steps of holozoic nutrition includes ingestion, then ingestion, after ingestion then comes digestion, okay, absorption and assimilation, egestion, and last one is the egestion, that is the removal. So this 5 common step for both humans as well as for amoeba is same, but how it is done is different. So kindly study that, how it is different. As I have already told, in human they have a proper chamber, different parts of the alimentary canal are there where different functions are done, like for ingestion through the mouth, okay, whereas egestion through the anal opening. So between these two processes, ingestion and egestion, there is the process of digestion, which is an enzymatic process. Okay, so it occurs in different parts of the alimentary canal, whereas in holozoic nutrition of amoeba it occurs within a cell. All right, within a cell by the process of endocytosis through their flexible cell membrane, they take in food, that is ingestion, whereas egestion in them is through cytoplasmic streaming and then removal of the waste through the rupture of their membrane, and then it is excreted out. So that way you need to understand its difference and also how they are same, or how it is same in both amoeba as well as in human. You may be asked to write the similarity between the nutrition of a human and a nutrition of amoeba, or you may be asked to write the difference in the holozoic nutrition of amoeba and holozoic nutrition in human. So this is the part of different topics which includes from the topic that is nutrition from the chapter life process. Okay. Okay, now let us discuss about the process called respiration. As we know, respiration is a process where the food, okay, the digested food, or you can say the simplified food, is broken down in order to release energy. So one and only ultimate goal, or you can say the ultimate result of respiration, is the production of energy. Now you need to learn how respiration occurs in human. So in this topic under respiration, you need to study about the respiratory system in humans, or including the names of different parts and their respective functions. Okay, then you have to study about types of respiration. What are the types, like aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. Okay, now aerobic respiration where oxygen is involved, anaerobic respiration where oxygen is not used. So in this way, in a cellular activity, or when a cell undergoes respiration, different metabolic pathway leads to the formation of different products. So in this way, along with the difference between the types of respiration, you also need to understand the different metabolic pathways. So metabolic pathway means the end result. After undergoing respiration, what is the end result or the product obtained by this process? Okay, as we know, there are 3 different metabolic pathway of the glucose being broken down into the production of ethyl alcohol, production of lactic acid, and production of carbon dioxide gas. However, carbon dioxide gas is common to all the types of, all the metabolic pathway. They produces carbon dioxide and also they produces energy. However, the amount of energy produced by anaerobic respiration is very low, very less comparatively, which is high in case of aerobic respiration, which occurs in a muscle cell in mitochondria. Whereas the metabolic pathway that leads to the formation of ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide, it occurs in yeast cell, okay, which is in absence of the air. And next one is the lactic acid, which occurs in muscle cell in absence of air, or you can say when oxygen supply is low, or during insufficient supply of oxygen, when the muscle cell requires more energy for the activity to be done, then in such condition the muscle cell undergo anaerobically, respire anaerobically, and that leads to the production of lactic acid along with energy, which leads to pain, or you can say a muscle cramp. कोई बात नहीं. And in this way, muscle cell undergo respiration anaerobically and leads to the formation of lactic acid. So here it means what are the things that you need to focus and understand is the types of respiration, then you can say the different metabolic pathways along with different products obtained and which cell undergoes it, okay, and what is the first product and where does the pyruvate, the glucose 6 carbon compound broken down into pyruvate in the cell cytoplasm. So from pyruvate, the 3 carbon compound pyruvate undergo different pathway, 3 different pathway. In each cell it forms ethyl alcohol, in muscle cell it forms lactic acid, and in muscle cell in presence of air forms carbon dioxide, and a large amount of energy is released. So that you need to learn. Then after this you need to learn the respiratory system in humans. What are the different parts, different organs and its functions, including the air, including the nostrils, the trachea, okay, the trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, then the alveoli. The proper diagram also you need to learn. Which part is what it is called, okay, what is the function of different part, and what is the function of alveoli, where does gaseous exchange occurs, how does it occurs. Okay, gaseous exchange occurs by the process called diffusion. Diffusion is in presence of a concentration gradient. Okay, when the partial pressure of oxygen is high at the alveolar site, then it tends to diffuse towards its lower pressure, that is into the blood vessel. As the alveoli is connected with capillaries, so the oxygen gas tends to diffuse towards its low pressure area, that is into the blood vessel through the capillaries. So in this way, at the lung site, this diffusion helps in the movement of the oxygen gas. All right. So this also the thing that you need to learn. And then comes the mechanism of breathing. Okay, so breathing and respiration, the student, they always have a confusion. They think that breathing and respiration are same, but which is not same. They are completely different thing. Breathing is a physical phenomena, you can say, a process where you take in air and you give out air. So taking in and giving out of the air is called breathing, right? But however, breathing is necessary for respiration, because taking in of air will take in the oxygen which is required for respiration. So respiration is a biochemical process which leads to a complete oxidation of the digested food and release of the energy. Okay, that is respiration. But breathing is simply inhalation and exhalation, intake of air and release of air. Okay, so that you need to understand. And what is the mechanism of breathing? Mechanism of breathing means what enable us to breathe. Okay, the movement, the muscular movement of the diaphragm movement, as well as the intercostal muscles. So they together help in the breathing process, inhalation as well as exhalation process. So kindly learn that how do breathing occurs, that is with the help of the muscle tissue, which is the diaphragm, which is beneath the lung at the chest cavity. Okay, and also the intercostal muscles which are around our rib cage, and that also contracts and relaxes and helps in the process of breathing. So these are the things that you need to learn regarding respiration in humans. Now, next is circulation. So under circulation, you need to learn the different topics, including the structure of heart, as heart is one of the vital organ that help in the supply or an even distribution or pumping of the blood all throughout our body. As the blood carries different substances across our body and transport and delivers it to different parts, and different cells and tissue receive it. Okay, so here you need to understand the different organs that makes up a circulatory system, which includes the heart, the blood vessel, blood, okay, capillaries, etc. So, and each of their distinct functions. For example, what does the blood do, what they are made up of? So blood is a connective tissue which is made up of plasma and the formed elements. The formed elements, which includes the RBC cell, WBC cell, and the platelets. Okay, so that makes up the tissue blood. And blood also has a pigment as a substance or a protein called hemoglobin, which is the erythrocyte or the RBC cell, due to which blood is red in color, and that helps in carrying oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, so along with the components of blood, its function and its nature also you need to learn. And then comes the heart, which is a muscular structure, the proper diagram and the different parts, what they are called, and how do the transportation or the movement of the blood takes place across the heart or into the heart and outside the heart. How do they transport it? Okay, by what mechanism they transport it? Because in heart or our circulatory system is in such a way that there is no mixing of any you can say any different I mean, the circulatory system in human, there is no mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So due to which it is also known as double circulation. And in double circulation, there is no mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So how double circulation occurs, you need to explain it, its mechanism. Okay, you need to learn it. And beyond and other than that, what are capillaries, what are blood vessels, what are the types of blood vessels? Blood vessels are either the arteries and the veins. So how do arteries and veins work, that also you need to learn, and how are they different, and accordingly you need to study. Okay, so anyway, I just remember one more thing that you need to study from the respiration part is about the respiration system or respiratory system in other organisms other than humans. For example, the fishes, example the insects, the earthworm. Okay, how do other organisms respire? So those things also you need to learn from the part of respiration. So I forgot that. So please remember to learn those parts as well. And then, as I said, under circulation, you need to understand and learn completely the circulatory system. Okay, what is circulatory system? What is its actual function? What comprises of circulatory system? What organ does what, and how do they do it? What is pulmonary circulation? What is systemic circulation? What is double circulation? Okay, so please make these things clear. And then next is excretion. So under excretion, you need to study excretion for both excretion in plants and excretion in animals. So excretion in plant is very simple, as plants do not have a proper excretory system, but they do also excrete their waste material by different means. For example, the release of oxygen during photosynthesis is the kind of excretion to them, because oxygen is of no use to them, so they release it from the stomata. That can be one mode or one process, or other processes like excreting waste around the roots in the soil, excreting waste during transpiration, I mean the excess water is lost, or even the falling off of the leaf. As you have seen, the leaf, before it falls off, it changes its color from green to yellow or orange. So actually, before they fall off, they transport its important substances to other needed places or other parts, and this is why they become, they change their color and they gradually fall down or they fall off. Okay, so withering of falling off of the leaf is an example of excretion of plants. Then in animals, you need to study about excretory system. How do nephrons work? What is the main excretory unit or the unit of excretion? That is the nephron. What are called nephrons? So nephrons are a network of tubules that help in the formation of urine. So urine formation occurs in the different parts of the nephron. Okay, so nephron is actually the network of tubule where blood gets filtered and the filtrate forms into a urine, which is later collected through the collecting duct, and then it passes down through the ureter into the urinary bladder. So in this way, the different parts of the excretory system, including the pair of kidney, the ureter, urinary bladder, urethra, etc. So its detailed structure, its different parts and their function, along with the function of nephron. You may be asked to name the functional unit of excretion. Okay, that is not kidney, but it is the nephron. Kidney is the organ of excretion, but unit of excretion is nephron. Please understand the difference: unit of excretion and organ of excretion. So you might get confused thinking that excretion is related to kidney, but you should read the complete sentence if it is unit or if it is organ. So please be careful on that. And nephron, as I said, they are the network of tubule where the blood passes through the nephron in the Bowman's capsule. It gets filtered in the glomerulus, and then the filtered blood is taken away by the renal vein. So renal vein finally take away the pure blood or the clean blood back into the heart, whereas the dirty blood or the impure blood is pumped by the heart through the renal artery. The renal artery brings the impure blood into the kidney, okay, and it is taken away by the renal vein. So that you need to remember. And along with this, you need to learn the artificial filtration of blood, that is dialysis. We call it as dialysis or hemodialysis. Hemodialysis is an artificial method of filtration of blood when one of the kidney doesn't function well, or maybe both the kidney doesn't function well. So artificially the blood can be taken out from the patient's body and it can be filtered in an artificial chamber which contains a dialyzing solution, which will provide the same medium as that of the kidney. So accordingly, when the blood passes down through the dialyzing chamber into the dialyzing solution, the blood gets filtered and the filtrate will be formed, which is finally the urine, and the filtered blood will be reintroduced to the patient's body. So in this way, the blood can be periodically being purified. Okay, but one thing here you need to understand is how is this possible? Because as we know that blood has the tendency to get clogged or it becomes solidified when it is outside our body. Whenever there is a cut, blood immediately starts to get solidified or it stops to bleed. So blood has the tendency of coagulation, it becomes solidified. Okay, so how is that possible then? When it is taken out again, then it is reintroduced in its liquid form. So it is basically due to the introduction of a special substance, that is anticoagulant substance. Okay, so this anticoagulant substance called heparin, which is a protein, protein is being put or is being introduced into the blood of the patient. And next, before it is introduced back into the patient body, anti-heparin is given. So anti-heparin will finally retrieve, or it will finally get its original property of coagulation. Otherwise, what happens after dialysis, if patient is not given back with this anti-heparin substance, then if patient undergo any kind of injury or accident take place, if any accident takes place, then the patient may not stop to bleed. So it may lead to some serious condition, and in severe condition, the patient may even die. So this is why anti-heparin is given back before it is reintroduced into the patient's body. So please remember that regarding dialysis. So in this way, the lesson life process covers all these different topics, including nutrition, respiration, circulation, and excretion. So please study about it. Plants and animals for excretion, and even in circulation, this is for both plants and animals as well. I forgot to say that. Animals, or you can say humans, we have discussed already. But for plants, how do transportation of substances occurs across plant's body? So this is due to the special tissue, the tissue which is known as the xylem tissue and the phloem tissue. So please study the function of xylem and phloem tissue. So how do xylem transport substances? How do phloem transport substances? So how do these different components of a plant tissue helps in the transportation of substances across plant body? Hello? Oh, I'm late. Tuition also don't I? Ayah phone dikha ke? Oh, beku ke ya? Moनसे phone number dong bau moननैन sini beku horni ang no. दे. Hello? Oh, WhatsApp or by mo number ko? Ah. अच्छा दे रायले होने दे दे Okay, as we are discussing about the different topics which are included in the lesson life process, here one more thing that you need to understand regarding the transportation in plants. Okay, so transportation in plants is achieved due to the presence of two different types of tissue called xylem and the phloem tissue. So under this topic, you need to learn the transportation system or the mechanism of transport by the xylem tissue and the phloem tissue, whether its different components, the different components of the xylem tissue and different components of phloem tissue and their mechanism of transport. For example, the xylem tissue transport by two ways, by positive as well as negative hydrostatic pressure. Okay, so in case of a positive hydrostatic pressure, there a pressure towards the upward movement. Okay, towards upward movement, it is same as that of the supply of water through a hose pipe. Okay, positively means the water is being pushed upward by pushing, that is positive hydrostatic pressure. Secondly, the negative hydrostatic pressure includes the, as we are discussing about the lesson life process, here one more thing you need to remember from the part of plants, that is circulation, or you can say transportation in plants. So transportation in plant is brought by, or you can say it is done by the tissue called xylem and phloem. Under this, you need to learn in detail about the different components of the xylem tissue as well as the phloem tissue and the mechanism of their transport. How do xylem transport and how do phloem transport? So let me give you in brief. The xylem transport in two ways. One is by positive and secondly by negative hydrostatic pressure. In positive hydrostatic pressure, it is similar to that of the hose pipe, the garden hose pipe by which you give water to the plant. It is a push, or you can say the pushing of or the movement of the water in upward direction. Okay, whereas in negative hydrostatic pressure, the water is being sucked up, or you can say the water is being pulled upward. So one is pushing and another one is pulling. So pulling is through the process called transpiration. So in this way, you need to learn that how do they transport it. Okay. Secondly, for phloem tissue, they transport the food. Transportation of food by the phloem tissue is from source to sink. Source to sink. Sometimes the source can be leaf to different parts, or sometimes it can be from roots to other parts, or maybe stem to other parts. So it depends where the food are stored and where it is required. Okay, so the transportation by phloem tissue may also require the use of energy, which will require in the loading of the food and then transporting it to the needed areas. Okay, so kindly study that. So with this, more or less, we end the discussion of the chapter life process about the different topics and how you can consider it, or how, or what are the different things that you should study from this lesson. So with this, I end here. I hope you do well in your exam. So thank you so much and good luck to everyone.